Awesome. Well, hello everyone and good evening. And thank you all for joining us today for our webinar about how to strategically build relationships in the new normal. My name is Ahmed Anas and I'm a career consultant at the Career Development Office, and I'm joined by
Teresa Condito, Assistant Director at the CDO.
Sweet. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of major things before we start. So first of all, this session is being recorded for educational purposes. And of course, if you mind that, please go ahead and turn off your camera. Second, please make sure that you are on mute. And if you have any questions or comments, we will get to them in the Q&A section at the end. So without further ado, let's dive into today's presentation. Let me share my screen. Awesome. So for today's workshop, we have five main components that we will focus on. First, we will give you a little introduction about networking and how networking is important, especially in the digital era that we're living in. Second, we will show you, or we will guide you through how to strategically build a professional network digitally. We will practice a little exercise that's going to get you started. And then we will show you how to best utilize a major social media platform like LinkedIn and creating your network. And then we will show you how to leverage and put those connections that you have in good use through informational interviews. Last but not least, we will highlight major CGU events that are still happening virtually, so you can still benefit from. So yeah, let's talk about networking. As graduate students, I'm sure you all by now must be familiar with networking and how important it is to our career growth. But there's a lot of misconceptions about networking. So networking is basically putting yourself out there, right? Both online and offline, and just meeting people who study or work in your profession and building relationships with them. But a lot of people mistake networking is just for job hunting. Networking is more broader than that, is more bigger than that. And also one of the benefits that networking can bring you to is kind of keep you up to date with the current changes that are happening in your industry, on your field, and just keep you also updated with any possible internship or job opportunities that you're interested in.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I run into a lot when I mention networking is sort of a little bit of a cringe. You know, people, I think it makes people nervous. I think a lot of people think of networking as very sort of a false interaction or very surface level, very salesy. And I just want to encourage everyone to really view this as relationship building. I know that sometimes even people don't even like to use the term networking anymore. Personally, though, for me, regardless of what term you want to use, I think that building these relationships are really important. And I encourage you to be your authentic self in these relationships and to be viewing these relationships not just as transactional. So I hope that that helps anyone who feels a little icky about this process.
Awesome. And this is a great segue to our next slide. Actually, we'll talk about where do we start in networking and how do we strategically network with the people that help us down the road. I know this is a great exercise about how to map your career goals. Teresa, you want to start on that?
Absolutely. So I really like this chart here specifically also because we started off with, well, what title do you want? What do you want to become, right? So in this case, the example we used is the digital marketing director, right? Also though, when you create a mind map like this, I think it's great to have yourself centered, literally be the person in the center. And so that you can think about, okay, who do I know? This is a great visual tool in terms of if you are someone who likes to be a little more visual or just to make this a little more concrete, okay? So who do I know? Who do they know, right? I especially would like to draw your attention to the center left area there. Let's see, former professors and college classmates. In this case, they can be current as well, of course, for those who are current students. And I really encourage you to think about that the most. I know it's a little difficult right now, especially for first year students, to really be making friends, you know, because we've missed out on those casual opportunities. I met two of my best friends still at CGU at the mashed potato bar at orientation, actually. But anyhow, so I know it's a little more difficult, but really I do encourage you to think about about everyone here at CGU, be it your professors, your advisor, the administrators of your program, and especially your classmates too, to really be thinking about them as a great starting point. So connecting with them and then building, literally building out the web from there, right? So you get, okay, my professor, okay, well, my professor works at XYZ company. Okay, well, who's at that company? So I hope that makes sense in terms of using this as a beginning visual that you can refer to and really be thinking about how you can really, this is the strategic part too, right? How can we really be moving these connections to where we want to go?
Right, right. And I know this is a great exercise because I used it like a couple times and it kind of like also helped me narrow down the vision of who do I want to like reach out to, or just identify like, oh yeah, I had a class with this person, with this classmate, and I was like, I had this professor who works for this company, so I might just approach them or send an email to them and just asking about like specific aspects of their work that they can connect with other people in their network. So this is a starting point. This is a great starting point for you guys to practice, to just point the right direction that you want to go through. The next slide that we'll talk about is the how to like digitally create your professional network. I know we live in a digital era right now and everything is virtual. Zoom and Teams, we all hear about those apps. But here are like the major social media platforms that we encourage you to be more active on, specifically LinkedIn, and we will dive deeper about LinkedIn later in this workshop. But also Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I know they could be a little personal. I mean, they're personal, but you can benefit from those a lot. And I know even like for this event, our CDO Instagram page and Facebook, they promoted this event and they constantly promote different events. So you can still hear about networking events through those three major social media platforms. But for LinkedIn, we would just recommend you to evaluate your social media presence, your overall social media presence. Are you active on LinkedIn? How does your LinkedIn look like? Is it professional enough? What content are you sharing with your contacts? All this matter to your career growth. And I know, Teresa, you shared something that companies will Google you for sure once you apply for the company.
Big time, yeah, especially once you're getting closer, right? If you're in that pool that's being considered for the to be offered the job. So it is interesting because personally, there's a sort of cliche, right? If you don't want to be seen on Instagram or Facebook, let's say with a drink in your hand or something. And I don't know. For me personally, I think people who drink are fun, but it's a little tough, right? Because there is sort of this balance, right, of finding professionalism in your on your social networking, and also because remembering that we're going to be Googled, but also it's tough because we don't want to just ignore these platforms in terms of professionalism too. I actually have heard from some students who will follow organizations that they like on Instagram, and that's not really a setting in which they'll necessarily follow you back. So that's sort of a one-sided relationship, and I think that's good. So you can post as many pictures of yourself socializing, whatever context that you want, right? But I would be mindful as well of privacy settings as much as you can. And this is a little extreme, but personally, I actually have on everything but LinkedIn, I actually have two. I have a real personal one that I use for the fun stuff, and then one that's strictly Teresa Condito, Assistant Director. So, it's up to you to really be looking at that and how you want to be using these. But I do highly suggest that whatever you have public and whatever you're using to be reaching out to people, which we do suggest, to make sure that that's really erring on the side of professionalism.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So you guys should consider that, have two accounts. No, just kidding.
You don't have all to do that, but it's extreme, but
Awesome. So yeah, this is like the social media platforms that you should be utilizing to just kind of get a sense of network events and people to network with. But in the next slide, we'll talk about like your presence on LinkedIn specifically. As we all know that LinkedIn is probably the number one social media platform for networking. And here are the general standards that you should have on your LinkedIn profile. And we will split those between me and Teresa. But first, those are like the must-have standards on your LinkedIn. So first of all, professional photo. So no selfie. That's for your personal account for sure. But yeah, on LinkedIn, you want to have like a clear headshot, like not an annoying background, like clear that you're just reflecting yourself as a professional individual on this platform. Engaging headline. It could be simple. Could be your job title, could be your current role in an organization, or your current degree. Literally something that reflects your current position, whether it's in school or at your work.
And let's see here. So, a personal tip for me, there's a lot of different opinions on this. I personally don't like the kind of vaguely desperate sounding headlines of seeking work, hire me.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of a trend though on LinkedIn. If you may have seen this, there's I think it's hashtag open to work that you put around your profile picture. So I will leave that up to you. And I don't want to be just grumpy and old school, but personally for me, I think it's just a little better to identify yourself by who you are, not the fact that you're seeking work. My personal tip, I like to not go past because it's really not supposed to be a super long bio, right? It's supposed to be a summary. So that to make it even so short that you don't even have to click see more. That's one of my favorites. But anyhow, education is super important, especially because as we're going to show you later, to get to use the Alumni Finder tool is really a powerful tool on here. And also, as long as you've got your education listed, when you click on an organization and you have fellow alumni that work there, it tells you that they work there, which I think is fantastic. Of course, in terms of building out your experience, in this case, this is actually usually pretty simple because LinkedIn really just does act as a digital version of your resume. And the main difference here, in my opinion, is that you can add media, which I think is really great. So for example, an article I wrote that's actually a little related to this. I wrote an article, a blog post on confronting networking anxiety. And that is something that I linked to under the media section under my job here at CGU. So I think that can be a really powerful thing. Let's see if there's a certain anything online that you've built out, information about an event or a piece that you wrote. That sort of example of media I think is fantastic. Amen.
Awesome. Yeah, and great points, Teresa. I also wanted to emphasize on the experience part or the overall appearance of your LinkedIn. I know that you should be professional, but you also be like, LinkedIn is like a detailed version of your resume, of your story. So it doesn't matter if you add something like a job or like a volunteer experience that you've done in the past that you feel like it's not even relevant to your current major, but also shaped your personality. So recruiter, I mean, I worked in recruiting for 3 to 4 years experience, and I know a recruiter would love to get to know the person, and not just as like a professional, but also if they know that this is a cool person, or they're sharing like even their personal life, like they're normal people. They're not just like robots that they fill out their LinkedIn page with everything that the companies want to hear, but also you get a chance to be a little personal about it. And also the last part of recommendations, this is probably one of the things that you can ask for your coworkers or previous professors, some people that you work with and closely know your work and know what you're capable of. And it doesn't harm to reach out to them like, hey, if you can provide me a recommendation, if you have like a good connection with this person. This is literally will make your LinkedIn stand out.
I agree wholeheartedly, Ahmed. Especially for me, I've been asked to be a reference for people at different times, and that is when you're asked to be a reference. A lot of times it is still old school. They will actually call you on the phone, or sometimes it's an email exchange or filling out an online form. Right? There's of course different forms that takes on. However, to a certain extent, right, you're putting yourself on the line if you're offering to be someone's reference. Right? That's your personal, your professional life on the line there. Right? So one of the things that makes recommendations really powerful for me is that it's not just to this one company. If you, you're not really just staking your professional reputation, you're telling most of the World Wide Web, because most people's LinkedIns are public, that you recommend this person. So I think they're really powerful, and there's 2 ways to go about them. You can go onto a connections page and down to the recommendations section, and it says ask for a recommendation, or on your own page, you can do the same thing, ask for a recommendation. I do suggest using this just because they don't have to, the person person, if they don't use LinkedIn that much, they don't have to look around being like, how do I do this? It
Mhm.
brings them, it sends them a message that brings them right to the part of the site where you create, they will write that recommendation for you. Ideally, I would say like maybe 3 or 4 recommendations. I have an old boss who has 100. It's a little extreme. People like you, we get it.
Right.
But either way, I think that's great. And this is also another area where I highly suggest being reciprocal. So if there's someone that you managed especially and you really liked working for them, I think it's great to write them a recommendation too. So people can also see the recommendations you've given, not just the one you've received. I think is fantastic. 2 more quick LinkedIn notes, even
Yeah.
though I know this is our greatest hits here, but just really quickly, I think it's also very important to have a cover photo. A lot of people don't know that that exists on LinkedIn, even people who really use it a lot, but cover photo, extra points. And then
Yeah.
the other thing is to personalize your URL, especially if you're going to use it anywhere on your application materials. We don't want to see something with like a whole bunch of long numbers or dashes and symbols, etc. So it's really easy right up top on your of your LinkedIn homepage when you're on your own profile, just to update your URL and personalize that. I think that would be fantastic.
Mhm, mhm. Great points. And these are, like we said, this is the necessary elements that your LinkedIn should have. And like we said, this is probably for you to do. This is like a homework for you to do and an assignment. And before you network with anybody out there, just make sure that your profile consists of those standards. Because of in the next slide, we'll talk about like what to do. So after we established a clear or professional LinkedIn profile, what do we do? How do we move strategically and build relationships, networking with people from our like within our connections? And let me see. So yeah, so how can we best utilize LinkedIn? So here are like the major parts of LinkedIn. We all know that LinkedIn is basically it's a platform for you guys to connect with people and just sharing content, commenting, resharing content that you feel valuable. But literally, like even Teresa mentioned, creating a special URL for your LinkedIn page, but also your LinkedIn, like I said, is a detailed version of your resume. So you build a live resume, digital version of your resume. So it's an easy access for employers to access you to search probably one word that you type in the skills section and your profile will pop up in their search bar. So that's one way to do it is you want to build a live digital version of your resume for them to see like, oh, okay, so this person did that and did that. They some people left recommendation on their profile. So they get an idea about who's this person before they interview you or like they meet you officially. Second thing is also creating new and nurturing existing professional relationships. Because I know personally, I can be like personal with you guys, and I know when I graduated from undergrad, I remember LinkedIn was a new thing, and it was okay. So let's go there and network. So I started like sending connection requests to everybody, and after a year or two, I realized like I don't even like know these people. I don't even relate to the industry. So be mindful or be
About how to
strategic.
utilize LinkedIn.
Oh, sorry. Um, yeah, if there's a question, we will get to that in the Q&A section at the end. But yeah, so I was talking about how to be mindful and be like aware of who you're connecting with. Teresa?
Absolutely, and I have a big note on that one. I find a lot of people just do add strangers, and
Yeah.
it's a tough one because, of course, I do encourage you to reach out, to people who you don't know. But I think that that's best done. You can send a little message along with your request and sort of tell them why, you'd like to connect with them and actually connect with them. Some people just sort of collect connections on here as though there's someone going to help them someday, and they don't reach out to them, and they just accept their request. And first of all, that can lead to some weird spamming. I have an arts background, and I can't even tell you how many times we're like, okay, they're an artist, I'll accept them. And then they're asking me to buy a painting or something or so forth, et cetera, so forth in the private messages and everything. So I personally highly only recommend accepting requests from people or people that have messaged you, and to act that same way towards other people as well. Sometimes I'll see, I'm also more than willing to add anyone on here who would like to add me. If I see you or at CGU, I will add you. But sometimes I'll see people just come on the feed that this many people added this person, and I'm like, who is that? They're not in this country. You know what I mean? Like things like that. Or I'm not saying not to be international, but some folks who are not local, who really not related, and are just adding you to add you. So I really agree, Ahmed. I don't think that that is a valuable way to use this site.
True, true. And actually, I realized that I had to delete some of my connections that I felt it's not relevant to what I do and not relevant to the line of work I'm doing. So yeah, and also there's plenty of ways that you can use LinkedIn. Also, you can just connect with people like Teresa mentioned, people who are in your industry or in your schools and professors. So even like in this event or like the other events that we do at the career development office that we host CGU alumni, make sure you connect with them after that and send a request message that like about something that presented or they talked about, they feel like interested in. Just find that connection between you and that person to basically create a relationship with them and possibly collaborate with them, or they help you find a job that you dream of later down the road. Of course, also on LinkedIn, make sure that you follow the school that you're in, or the companies that you work for, or the companies that you're interested in, to just hear more and to show that you're engaging with different employers. And of course, the main purpose of LinkedIn is job hunting, and make sure when you're job hunting, make sure you be creative with the words that you search for. Whether it's, for example, if you use one job title, like for example, organization psychologist, make sure you play with it, like psychologist, organization development. Make sure you alternate that here and there to just come up with different results at the end. So this is so after we discussed how to design your LinkedIn and discuss also how to use LinkedIn properly. But since this is not a workshop specifically about LinkedIn, we want to make you guys that you feel using or leveraging your connections on LinkedIn. So in the next slide, which will bring me to the last feature that we'll talk about, we mentioned actually, that a lot of people don't know about this feature, that LinkedIn allows you to see the alumni list from the school that you went to, for example, or any school that you're interested in, that you're applying for. And I know Teresa might touch on that too.
Yeah, this one I often talk about when folks book appointments on strategic networking with me. I think that this is powerful. It's funny, it does have a name. It's called the LinkedIn Alumni Finder tool. I don't know if it's really a separate tool, but it is built in on here. So basically really simple. You just want to search for the school, be it your undergrad, or of course you could do CGU, any other schools that you've attended. And looking at the alumni feature, it isn't just a randomized list. Down the left column, it is they're organized by location. So it'd be great, folks who are in Southern California or wherever you want to end up. And on the right side, it organizes them by where they work. And I have to say, the keyword function in there is really powerful. So you can use, let's see, you might even want to see where folks with your major ended up. So for example, Ahmed mentioned organizational psychology. I believe what we have organizational behavior, let's say, right? One of those type of major, whatever your major is, right? To put that into the keyword search and sort of see where folks ended up. Another great thing is to put in any organizations that you'd like to work with, to put it in there. It brings up a surprising amount of people I've found and let you know where they work. So I find that this is really powerful to go with alumni because, as we were saying, it's not always the best just to reach out to people completely cold. I'm not saying not to do that, but you're much more likely to be successful and hear back from folks if they was like, oh yeah, you went to CGU too. Like I just said, I am picky about who I choose to accept, but if I see CGU, I will accept you. So, and I would do that even if I didn't work there, work here. So it's my alma mater as well. So yeah, I think that's really important to find people that you do have connections with. Alumni is really powerful. Also, I've had some folks work with people who, even in different Greek societies, they've been willing to help their folks like that. I'm trying to think who else would be maybe more willing to help you, right? We've got, if it's not just school, right? What other types of connections? Obviously, we're talking about friends, right? Friends of friends, right? So these warm connections, I think, is really where you're most likely to be successful.
For sure. And I remember actually, good question, Teresa. I remember when I did one internship after I graduated from that internship, I did a project, and I was actively like connecting on LinkedIn. I remember like I received like even connection requests from interns that interned for this company like a year ago or like 2 years ago, and just like wanted to create that network for the interns, for the graduate interns from this company. And one thing actually that came to my mind right now, like it's good to be real with you guys. As a recruiter, I worked in recruiting for a while, and I know networking can be, or LinkedIn can be painful sometimes when you message people. I mean, we say, yes, go ahead and message people, but the truth is not a lot of people on LinkedIn, and a lot of people receive tons and tons of messages depending on the role that they hold in an organization and how busy they are. Like I remember even for me, I remember for one event that we hosted for the career development office, I messaged an employer who I know actually through a friend, and they didn't respond at first. So I waited 2 weeks and sent a follow-up message for them, and then they responded like 2 days after, and they said, "Oh, sorry, I don't check my messages on LinkedIn. It would be faster to do it by email." So it's good to keep that in mind. That not like people are not ignoring you. Some people are, but if you meet them, just move on and see if you can find other people that you can connect with.
I
So this
agree
is
wholeheartedly. This is really
yeah,
important because people, oh, I did that. I've actually talked to people like, oh, well, I tried to network and no one got back to me. Well, I know it can be
right,
discouraging, right? But I do think, completely agree with you. I'm at the 2 week polite follow up and see if you
yeah,
can get their email address. If they're not answering on LinkedIn, you don't want to do too much stalking, but I don't think
right,
it's a big deal if you message them on LinkedIn, you don't hear back. Try to see if you can find their email address on the company website, right? Or there's even a website where you can find, it'll tell you what the convention is, the email convention. I believe it's
yeah.
Hunter, what is it,
Hunter,
io dot
Hunter,
hunter io, yeah.
yeah, Hunter, yeah,
And so it doesn't always work. For example, for some reason
yeah,
they gave me my middle initial in my name. Most people have a 2 at the end if they were former students and now they're staff, but I'm special. So, it doesn't always work, but I think it's a great way to do. And yeah, sometimes people look through their inbox and they do want to respond, right? But then like, oh, something's so busy comes up, but then they hear, oh yeah, I remember, I meant to write back to you. And I think another good point here that actually one of our wonderful keynote speakers from the Career Readiness Conference we had in the fall, he made a really good point. I always like to say, well, if you don't hear back from someone, you didn't really lose anything, right? Zero sum game. You didn't have that connection, then now you don't either. So you're not really risking anything. But he actually even made an
right,
excellent point. He said, what's the worst that can happen? They might remember your name later. So like, oh, that sounds familiar. Maybe I know that person. So even just getting in terms of
mhm,
name recognition. So completely agree with you, Ahmed, that this is a really important type of a way just to not just to be making these connections, even if you don't, right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
strongly encourage people to be reaching out. So
True, true, true. And this is mainly for LinkedIn. I know that we're talking about networking in general, but we wanted to spend a little time about LinkedIn as a major platform in this field. But if you guys need some help just designing your LinkedIn, we'd be happy to assist. Our career development office team would be happy to help you with going over your LinkedIn and reviewing it to see if you meet the actual standards that we shared with you
absolutely.
prior before. So yeah, so we talked about LinkedIn. We talked about how does your LinkedIn should look like, and then we talked about what should you do on LinkedIn and how to use some cool features that LinkedIn allows you to use. And then after that, okay, so you build your connections, you build your networks. How do you put them to good use? Which will take me to my next slide, which is about informational interviews. I know some of you might have heard about information interviews. I personally had a couple of experiences about information interviews. Information interviews is basically a way for you. It's basically like a meeting, like a informal meeting, probably formal, but like not that formal, like an official interview. But gives you the idea of information interview is to give you a perspective, exposure about the specific industry, about a company or role that you're interested in. The person that you're interviewing, you're the interviewer, they're the interviewee, so you get to ask the questions, and of course we'll get to like what kind of questions you can ask. And but the main idea of information interview is to get an idea about that company or that role that you're interested in. And I know Teresa has a cool story about information interview.
Yeah, this has been really huge for me in my past. And it's funny because I think just as you mentioned, Ahmed, right? We think an interview, well, I can't ask for an interview. I didn't even apply for a job, right? But it's not it's not that type of interview. You're the interviewer. Also, this is a kind of a just it's very interesting. Like I was saying, it's a balance, right? It's a kind of informal, but kind of formal, right? So it's a
Yeah,
like structured, but not overly formal way of networking. However,
right.
you might actually not even want to ask people for an informational interview because they might not know what you mean.
Mhm.
I've talked to a lot of people and I'm like, oh, what about informational interviewing? And they're like, what? And I'm like, oh, pre-COVID days, right? I used to call it the coffee grind. You would ask people for coffee, see, oh, can I buy you a coffee or maybe lunch, and ask you a few questions about your work. I'm like, oh, I've done that all the time. Like, yeah. So the people don't always know the name. So don't be so concerned about the name, but that can often be a way of phrasing, right? Can I just ask you a few questions? The other thing about
Right.
this that I think is really important, I was actually looking up the term Webster's dictionary defines. But one thing on Wikipedia that I found really helpful, it talked about how this part of it is absolutely important, and actually, especially the part about a safe environment to ask questions and really getting some of that insider info. I think that's fantastic. The other side of this, though, the networking piece, right, is just that getting to know someone, and frankly, sort of being a known quantity to someone, and that goes on both sides, right? You know them, they know you. But let's say, right, let's say you're like, let's say maybe you chatted with someone here in this workshop or another online workshop, and you said, I think I'd like to talk to that person. Follow up with them later, right? Ask them if you can meet up on Zoom, have a little chat perhaps. And then later on, they might say, oh, I maybe add them on LinkedIn, right? So this is where we're really trying to build out these relationships, right? So then later on, they might say, oh, wait, didn't I have a Zoom with the Claremont student? They were looking for this type of work, right? So this is really a way to be a known quantity, which I think is super important because everything is so digital right now, right? And to really make
Right.
yourself a known quantity, I think is so important.
Yeah, yeah, no, great point. I was gonna actually elaborate more on that, especially that everything virtual now, that you just have to apply online. And then I know a lot of people are online, they have no excuse. But one thing is also that Teresa mentioned, that it's good to send out, that you cannot send out based on papers. That when you send your resume or send your application, still people don't know you. The company doesn't know you. They have to, like, when you meet people in person, or like at least via Zoom, they get a feel about this person, like, oh, okay, so I like them. Like when you hear the stuff like in person, it's different when I read it. When I read it, like I probably read 100 resume a day. And yeah, I will take the procedures from that. But if I meet with like 3 or 4 of them, they will go on my head like, oh, okay, I met with that person. I know their interests and I know what they're capable of. So in terms of like, gave you an advantage, yes, so we'll give you an advantage. And whether you're applying for a job or you're just networking with other people. And I know I remember I was also attending some networking events that happened pre-COVID, and I was just connecting with the guest speakers, the keynote speakers that they was hosted that were hosted in CGU, and I sent like a request note, and they were able to invite me for some networking events, and from that, like I said, it's not just job hunting. You might find like different doors and possible doors for you to just enter, to just get a feel of it and just be interested in that field. So this is an introduction about information interview and how to use the information interview to leverage your connection. But here are the most the recommended tips that you need to follow and conducting information interview. Like Teresa mentioned, you cannot say information interview. I mean, you can, but not a lot of people will understand it. So it's good to say like, hey, can we schedule a quick Zoom call next week or something like that, just to talk about this position or that project. So, so once you secure that date and would secure that meeting, here are some general tips for you to follow. So, for example, of course, do your research about the company. Don't show up to the interview not prepared. You don't have anything to ask. And I have here on the other side, don't ask Google-able questions. It sounds simple, or like sounds obvious, but it's true. You don't want to ask simple questions that you feel like you can just type it in Google and found out the answer. What do you think about that, Teresa?
Agreed wholeheartedly, right? Like I was saying, some insider information, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think that's really big. And another part of this too that I think we sort of touch upon briefly, but now when we say things like prepare, right? So what can that actually mean? I think it's great to actually research the person a little bit at the very least, right? Find
yeah,
them on LinkedIn, see if you can Google them, perhaps find some articles they've written, that sort of thing. And that actually brings me to a kind of a side point, which apologies if I'm jumping forward on it. But one of the things that really has been an influence in my life is actually how to win friends and influence people. And in that one, it talks about how, you know, people do respond positively when you're interested in them, right? You know, not exactly flattery, but, you know, people like to feel proud that, you know, that they've worked hard and that you feel that they can help you, right? So to keep that in mind, right? So in terms of preparing, I think researching them, I think is also a really great idea.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, it gives you an advantage for the interview for sure. Shows that you're interested about the just the work of the person that they're doing, and you just want to see an opportunity for you to collaborate with them or just engage with them in a project. One thing also that you want to make sure that you do is keep your introduction short. Because remember, the interview is not about you, it's about them. You want to know more about them. So a lot of people spend like probably 15 to 10 minutes of just talking about themselves and talking about what they did. No, it's the interview is not about you. Yes, you will talk about yourself briefly, about what you did, about your accomplishments briefly, but you want to get a sense, you want to get exposure about the person, about their line of work, about their organizational culture, about the specific topic that you're meeting with them about. And of course, setting the tone. Like I said, this is a great advantage for you to stand out between different candidates or different people in their network, probably because you showed interest and you set the tone very high that shows this person is professional, this person is interested in this project or in this opportunity. And one of the things that we say, one of the don'ts of information interview tips is not to ask for a job or not to ask for a favor because you just met that person. You want to build like a clear communication, a chemistry between you, a relationship between you and that person, and still it will come to your way eventually because if they like you they will vouch for you. They will say like, oh, Teresa did good, I know her, she presented her work, and based on that I will refer her to this person. What do you think about that, Teresa?
Yeah, I mean, that's been really huge for me. So, for example, I was really terrified to, you know, ask people for informational interviews. I kind of felt like I would rather, you know, ask out the most attractive person in the world, you know, than just ask someone for coffee in a professional context, which I think is really odd. But as I mentioned, you know, in the article I wrote, I have faced a lot of anxiety around this, right? But anyhow, I finally got over some of that, and I actually spoke with someone. He's an alumni from. He's an alumnus from the program I went to at CGU, and he was so kind. You know, he invited me to tour his performing arts space, and he also we had coffee right next door, and it was just a wonderful afternoon. I really thought it was really great. So I added him on LinkedIn, followed up, you know, commented on his posts occasionally, things of that nature. And then I think it was actually a few years later, he actually was hiring for in the field that I was interested in, which was fundraising at that time. And let's see, so I wrote an email to him after applying through the formal channels, and I said, "Oh, I just want to, you know, sort of remind him who I was, right? You might, in case you don't remember me, you know, that sort of thing, and let him know that we'd had that meeting." And let's see, I made it through the first round of interviews and also into the second one. I have a feeling I might have gotten a job offer. I ended up accepting another job offer somewhere else. But that to me, I think is a really good example of how at first that really, you know, you weren't like, oh, this is amazing, you know, he's going to hire me tomorrow, right? But it's just that, you know, I think to really be keeping in mind the long game as you're building these relationships, and that the informational interview can just be the beginning of you know, a wonderfully fruitful and also reciprocal
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah, absolutely. It's like a long-term investment. Like you said, it's like friends, right? So when you just create a new friend, right? You just met a new friend, and then you cannot just ask for a favor now. Of course, you just memories, chemistry, and the base of that. Oh yeah, I know Teresa. Yeah, like we worked before, or like we met via school or something like that. So from that, you can refer that person that they feel comfortable to refer you to that person because they just yet met to meet you, and then based of that, like okay, it's hard to give you a job right now, but still, you don't want to just come across that person that's still just looking for that job. Like I said, it's like
I
a
think that's so true. You know, it really kind of cracks me up because I often think about the parallels between finding a romantic relationship and finding a job. So, not asking you if you on a first date, if you will, right? If you're just asking someone for a coffee or just a little informational meeting, right? To ask
right.
them for a job is kind of like asking them to move in with you on a first. You know what I mean? It's too much. It's too quick, right? And yeah, I'm not sure. I just wanted to mention too. So because I mentioned how big these informational interviews have been in my life or just in general networking has been. First of all, I don't I've had if I really think really hard, I've had 0 jobs personally where I just applied and was offered the job. Literally almost every single job in my 15-year career has been because I knew someone. That's a little extreme. I come from the arts and the arts can be very, you know, in group and that sort of thing. But I'm actually in this job right now because of going to an alumni event. I went to an alumni event put on by my program at CGU. I thought I asked a pretty good question when it came time for the Q&A at the end of the panel talk. But then afterwards, I went up and introduced myself to a staff member. And then she actually invited me to lunch. And here we are, about 4 years later of me working here. So I'm actually in this job because of going to an alumni event and then a lunch. So I personally cannot overstate the importance of this. I literally would not be sitting here getting to talk to all of you if it weren't for going to that event and going to that lunch. So
Awesome. No, great analogy about the dating aspect, Teresa. Great story, by the way. So yeah, one thing also, so instead of asking for a favor, ask for career advice. So you met this person, you know their personality, you know their line of work. Like, hey, so I'm applying for this position. So let's say you met with them like 15 minutes, chat, they're cool, that's it. You connected with them on LinkedIn, and let's say a position opened up on their company like 2 weeks later, and you're interested in. You just apply and then ask this person like, hey, good afternoon, good evening, just applying for this position. Um, what is your advice? How does this position, or like just ask questions about the position, the role, responsibility, which department this position belongs to, and just get a sense of just the process, the hiring process in general. And if they're really if they feel comfortable referring you, they will move things forward. They will say like, oh yeah, because they met you, they know that you're qualified person, possibly qualified person. They can take your application to the next step, possibly. Um,
right there's the big power, right? That is what makes
yeah,
these powerful, if you will, right? Not necessarily just from an informational interview, but you know, again, viewing this as the beginning of a professional relationship. To me, I really just I think that's absolutely huge. These internal referrals are huge, and I don't know if you
yeah,
agree with this, Ahmed, but having to just like, well, first of all, you were saying amazing point. How are you really supposed to understand who someone is from a resume, right? Even an
yeah,
excellent one, you know, the best
yeah,
resume you've ever seen in your life.
right,
Like, does that
yeah,
really encapsulate your personality, your work style, right? And so, in my opinion, these are actually a really big workaround because having been a recruiter, right, Ahmed, there's oftentimes, God, what, hundreds, thousands of applications for one
yeah,
job, right? So, how are you
definitely,
going to look through all that, even if you're part of a big hiring team? And even if you
yeah,
use applicant tracking systems to screen people, you know, so you have a smaller pool, even then,
hmm
how are we going to look through all that, right? So, I think that that's what makes these the networking piece so important because as the job seeker, right? Boy, I don't know if any of y'all have been there. I know that I have. This has influenced my work pretty heavily. Usually, like, I was so qualified for this job. This is a dream job. And, you know, even before becoming a career professional, I've always been, you know, grammar nerd. You know, my materials are grammatically superior. I really connected my experience to the position. All of this, right? Excellent application materials. Why wasn't I even given the opportunity to do the phone screen, you know, the initial phone screen, right? And it's most likely because someone else got it who knew someone, or it was an internal hire, right? And so that's why this is, in my opinion, so important, especially in this digital age. It's actually a little ironic that all of the online job posting, right, has actually, in my opinion, made it much more difficult to actually be considered for a job, because to a certain extent, kind of sometimes the last thing people want to do is look at a resume, right? They would, wouldn't you rather prefer like a colleague who said, oh, you should hire this person? Wouldn't that be much better than having to take a gamble on someone who you just don't know, right?
Of course, yeah. Somebody I meet, somebody I know, like I saw them on person or like via Zoom, like I know how they speak, I know how to articulate, depending on the requirements of the role. But like, you want to be, so in HR, there's a term called cultural fit. You want to seem that cultural fit, that you want to show them that you're qualified for this role, not just on the technical side, but also on the personal side, that you feel like you relate to this company, you relate to their just family oriented atmosphere that they have. So yeah, that's one way for recruiters to screen that before the interview. And last but not least, also, oh sorry, go ahead, Tracy.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, one of the things that sort of I guess it's a little bit of a catchphrase was kind of stuck with me, right? That hard skills can get you in the door, right? So maybe perhaps if you have this impressive resume, especially if it might be something like in the IT field where hard skills are very important, right? So the fact that you can use this certain hardware, software, et cetera, right? But what's gonna keep you there are those soft skills, right? Is that personality and culture fit. So I agree with you about 1,000,000%.
Sure, for sure. Yeah. And last but not least, one of the most important tips here is always follow up with gratitude. Always follow up with a thank you note, the email, just reach out to them, thank them for the time. Always do that, whether it's information interview, official interview, networking event. Say that you're thankful to this person for their time and consideration, that they met with you, they saw you, they talk to you about this any specific topic that you talked about, and it really leaves a good impression. That takes me back to the third point: set the tone. It really makes you set the tone high, that this person is really professional and really like appreciative of the stuff that we do. So I might consider them for a project, or consider them for an internship or job opportunity that we might have in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and also, so we reviewed the LinkedIn in general. We talked about how to leverage those connections, and we talked about what is information interview, what are the tips that you should follow in conducting an information interview. And the next slide, we will talk about the virtual events that are still happening on campus that you can still benefit from. We have the career conversations with CGU alumni. We're doing one later this month, I believe. And we'll get into the details of the event later. But yeah, so we do career conversation with CGU alumni. We host them for a 1 hour session. They share their expertise. They share their graduation experience and their current role, just in a way to connect the current students with the CGU alumni, to introduce them to them, and then tell them like, okay, so here's the current students. They might network with you. They might like, oh, they're in the same line of work. So that's how you can benefit from that. And of course,
and I'm sorry just to interrupt, but my sort of understanding of these, I haven't been to one of the CDO ones yet, but my former program working with CBM Arts, which I did for the past 3 years, I think that these are fantastic. And actually the way that they've worked with me, and I think I have a feeling it's kind of similar, it actually can almost work sort of like an informational interview in a group context. Would you agree with that kind of, Anna, sort of in terms
of the vibe? Yeah, it could be. Yes, it could be actually.
You're getting to hear that sort of advice, right? And so they might even say, especially about their career trajectories, right? Okay, so I got this degree at CGU. then, right, here's my starting job, right, sort of what their trajectory can look like and how they got
Right.
from CGU
Yep.
or whatever, including the rest of their background too, right? But how they got from point A to point B. And this, I think these are just so powerful because again, right, these are very much those warm connections, right? These are people who are, and they're already willing to come, well, I guess not onto campus right now. Hopefully someday in the future they'll come back to campus. But the fact that they're willing to spend their time with us on Zoom, I think is huge. And these are all oftentimes the super connectors in their field, these people who want to help and people who are often really far ahead as well. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, those are really powerful. And then we do the informational sessions. We just did one last Friday with Walmart. They have an internship program that just started a year ago, I believe. It's called People Internship Program that attracts different majors. And actually, the head or the person who's responsible for that program is a CGU alumni, and she's really great. Well, they did a Zoom call with. We had like probably 40 or 50 students that showed up, and yeah, we just talked about their internship program, what majors that attract this program, and how can students apply. Just going over the hiring process for this applying for this internship. Um, and also we do the mock interview day. Some of you might be familiar with the mock interview day, but I know this is a really great event. I know I can talk about mock interview day all day long because that's how I started basically. I remember I'm an international student, so when I first joined CGU, I showed up at mock interview day, and actually I got my first internship from the mock interview day. And then based on that internship, a person actually referred me to another internship after I finished that internship. So here, like we said, like it's networking, connection. That's how you just get your way into like you get past the ATS, you get past the hiring process, because referral and like HR probably the most successful practice because people know this person. They vouch for them. Okay, so I know Teresa, I know Michael, I know them, so I can vouch for them. I can stand by them and like in front of my manager, I can like say this person is really needed in our team. And of course, we do the career readiness conference. Where we host it's like a career conversation, but like in a wider version, where we host different CGU alumni in different industries. I know last semester we did a great one. We had really great turnout, and then a lot of students were able to connect, get a sense of any field that they're interested in. And this is also those are virtual events for you to just look out and be actively looking out for them in case anything comes up on Handshake. You can get benefits. Um, so yeah, that's for our material today. Here is the our CGU Career Development Office accounts and different social media platforms, and we do post constant posts on social media platforms, specifically Instagram and Facebook about current events or current um, uh, job opportunities related to CGU community. And also YouTube channel. We're pretty active on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where we share some workshops like this. This is being recorded, so this is going to YouTube. And we do something really beneficial for students. I've been responsible for. It's called Career Bites, where we design some career bites about specific topics. Like one of the topics I talked about was elevator pitch, and one of them also was about creating a robot-friendly resume. So we touch on some relevant and simple topics that we can summarize it in 5 minutes video. And also you can check out our uh, career. This is also our email address. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to us. And make sure you check out Big Interview. If you guys haven't heard about Big Interview, is a great tool, great AI tool for you to screen your interview skills and just gives you an assessment of your skills of interviewing virtual. And of course, if you want to schedule an appointment with us, please go on Handshake. That's where we mostly active. We have our career staff, career development staff appointment schedule. You can schedule an appointment with me or Teresa or anybody from our office, or you can hear about different events that our office is conducting. And the next slide, I'll talk about here are the upcoming events that we are having that are coming up in with our office. So first, we have the strengths, character, and you, a recipe for living a full and fulfilled life. So this one's happening this coming Friday, February 12th at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is one networking event that you can show up to. And this is another great event. It's a great conversation with Tina Lee. She's an organizational development, CGU alumni. Actually, we hosted her for the mock interview day, last mock interview day. And I know a lot of students found that really beneficial for them to just get an insight about a person who graduated from CGU and works at a big company like Chipotle. So yeah, that's happening on Tuesday, February 23rd at 5 p.m. and to 6 p.m. And then we have next month, we have on Wednesday, March 3rd, making a good first impression in your new job. Just a relevant topic, a constant topic that's still going on and on with students. And then lastly, we have the reorientations for PhD candidates for people who specifically post coursework, strategy to complete your degree. That's happening on Wednesday, March 10 a.m. To 2 p.m.
Mhm.
So that's it for today. Thank you all for attending this webinar and hope you guys found this valuable. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much, everyone. Mhm.